You see, my dear nerds, we live in a very superficial society, and that's okay. I know I can be as informative as possible. I can make you laugh your backside off. I can come up with antics, I can be very informative, but no matter how big my A game might be, I know for a fact that if Jason Momoa or Brad Pitt, I think Brad Pitt is still cool, but if one of these guys would come into my tiny closet office here and start saying, yeah, I know that Mario game, it's with that tiny pixelated dude. I like to make him jump around. If any of these high-profile celebrities would even mention something about retro games, a lot of people would go nuts. They would be like, oh my god, Brad Pitt or Jason Momoa mentioned this game. And then there would be the balding, bearded nerds like me sitting there in the background trying to say, well, actually, my dear nerds, insert fact here and fact there and blah blah blah. But it wouldn't matter because we are tuned to love pretty things. Pretty things, wait for it, like handhelds with bigger buttons. Because no matter how performant other handhelds might be, if they are not sexy enough, as in if they don't have big enough buttons and if they don't feel good in the hand, that's what she said by the way, then a primary factor that will always weigh in our decision is aesthetics and how it feels and what kind of tingliness does it create in our stomachs. Butterflies in our stomachs doesn't always have to be only for physical attraction, it can be for handheld attraction as well. But I don't want to confuse you too much with silly intros. The point of this video is to compare this bad boy with this bad boy, the Miyoo A30 with the Anbernic RG28XX. And yes, I know I swapped the colors, I just wanted to low-key brag that I have two colors of each. Because sometimes I'm a braggy mother flipper and I'm a nerd at heart and I just want to show you my toys. And by toys I mean, wait for it, all my toys. But yeah, I actually was really forward to making this comparison because these two handhelds are what defines the 2.8-inch horizontal handheld category. Yeah, we have the XU Mini coming along, but honestly I'm not too excited about that one. Stay tuned though because I'll have a review of that one as well. But when we compare the Miyoo A30 and the RG28XX, we're essentially comparing aesthetics and prettiness, but dumb brain, with performance, very smart brain, nerdiness, oh my god, I can play PSP and Dreamcast to an extent, but this is one ugly mother flipper, and you can feel that while you interact with it. And I'll highlight all of my points later on in the video, make sure to stick around. So, for the sake of organization, I'm gonna take them one after another, meaning that I'm gonna start talking about the Miyoo A30 and I'm gonna highlight what I like and don't like about this golden mother flipper, and then I'm gonna talk about the RG28XX because I've had this for a very long time by now and I know the ins and outs of both. So, stick around and don't think that I'm kissing this little handheld's backside because it will appear like I'm overly praising it. Remember though that the second part of the video is reserved for this guy, okay? Okay, perfect. Real quick though, before I continue, I just want to quickly mention that this particular golden boy, this Miyoo A30, which some people might really like for the nostalgia factor, was sent to me by GoGameGeek. GoGameGeek is yet another store that I personally trust. They have actual good prices and very good customer support, and when it comes to these stores, I always measure them in the customer support that they give and the offers that they have, because nobody wants to pay extra. But this is important to know, nobody sponsored me, nobody gives me money, and even if somebody wanted to give me money, I would always annoy the flipping heck out of them because I have a big mouth and I do not do censorship. I do not hold back when it comes to these videos. So my thoughts are my own, they will always be my own. Nobody has seen this video beforehand, no money has exchanged hands, you know the rest of the speech. This is an independent flipping review, as it will always be. But now let's talk about the Miyoo A30 because I actually have some opposing views to other YouTubers when it comes to this handheld. And the first one is that I will never understand why people talk about the fact that being light is a bad thing. Look, this is blissfully light. This seems like it's lighter than it should be, and that is a good thing. I cannot put enough emphasis on this, my dear nerds. Who the heck programmed us to think, oh, heavier means higher quality? No, I don't agree. To heck with Samsung and phone manufacturers, because I think this mentality came from there. Phones became heavier, people started thinking they are higher quality, so everybody went along for the ride. But you can be light and feel good in the hand as well. And this is perfect to travel with. I can put this in my pocket, I can put this in my bag, I wouldn't flipping feel it, and I love this, I just want to, you know, it's as it should be. A retro handheld, a low-key retro handheld, needs to be small and light, and I feel that Miyoo did all right with this. Not that I want to overuse the word right. I'm starting to hate it now, but I truly like how this feels. And when it comes to overall aesthetics, this handheld actually does a lot of things properly. For example, I love that there's a thumbstick here. I know a lot of people are anti-thumbsticks, and I've repeated this in some of my other videos. You people are heathens, but I love you. You're not heathens, I love you regardless. We are free to choose what's right, and what's right is usually what I believe because I'm subjective. But I love you anyway, even if you're wrong, my dear nerd. But the thing is that this thumbstick doesn't protrude. It's very ingressed, which makes it immensely pocketable. More pocketable, I would say, than a lot of handhelds that I personally have by this point, which only have a D-pad and buttons. I can tell that Miyoo sat on their sweet backsides with this design for a couple of years more than they should have, because there's a lot of subtle refinement, at least that's what I think, when it comes to the design. The buttons are big as all heck, at least compared to the RG28XX. Like, this is a joke. This is good for what it is because it's more powerful. But look at this flipping D-pad. I can cover it with my freaking thumb. This is not normality for me. This is not how a handheld should be designed. We have things like ergonomics, things that we have to consider. Button size is one of the most flipping important things to consider. And these small buttons on the RG28XX, for me, they just don't cut it. Each and every time I play on this thing, I feel that they are small. And granted, you might say, my dear nerd, Vlad, this is a small handheld. What the heck do you expect? And you might be right. But the thing is that the goalpost changes according to the standards that other handhelds might reach. And because we have something like the Miyoo A30, which has a big flipping D-pad, normal sized buttons, a thumbstick, and a thing that I actually love immensely, actually large shoulder and trigger buttons, this becomes the new standard. This comfort becomes the new standard. And when you have both, and when you spread out on this button canvas, it becomes a pain in the backside to go back to this with this teeny weeny D-pad and these god-awful shoulders and triggers. And these shoulders and triggers, my dear nerd, they piss me off the most because look at this design. This handheld is split between two plastic parts. The whole case is basically two plastic pieces, and they segmented the shoulder and trigger buttons to be on the bottom plastic of the case, meaning that you have 50% of the surface area right here, which is pure plastic, which, if you don't train yourself, you will accidentally hit sometimes because you think that the shoulder and trigger buttons are centered in the middle of the top part. And I just find this to be lazy design. They could have done better, and by they, I mean Anbernic. They could have done better with this. And Miyoo, well, Miyoo didn't screw around when it came to the design. Look at how spacious these buttons are. They take the whole top surface of the handheld as they should. I don't think that I should have to praise this. I think this is sensible design, and I think Anbernic shouldn't have released it like this. in my opinion. Now I have to cover the other thing. And that's where the RG28XX comes in. You know, it might have seemed like I went like a bulldog and attacked this thing, but the fact of the matter is that the RG28XX shines where the Miyoo A30 fails. And this is where the decision between these two becomes murky as all heck. I hate that it seems like these two are tailored to be flawed in totally different ways. The RG28XX, my dear nerd, is performant as hell. I think I can say hell. Oh, what the hell? Is performant as all hell compared to the Miyoo A30. When I did the review on the Miyoo A30, I talked a lot about perspective. If you're gonna go into this with the mindset that you're gonna play what you probably played on a recent Anbernic, then you're gonna be disappointed. I beg you, do not play PSP on this thing. Don't even try Dreamcast. I wouldn't even try N64. Just treat it as a horizontal Miyoo Mini and play whatever you played on the Miyoo Mini, which means up to PlayStation 1 and all the 16-bit and 8-bit handhelds. Play MAME, play arcade, play Sega Master System, stuff like that. The Miyoo A30 will never be able to play what the RG28XX can. In fact, I turned them on, I realized I was doing this comparison blind. Look at how Wario Land looks on both. It's kind of beautiful, I must say, but what you need to know is that the RG28XX is a different beast altogether, because this mother flipper shares the same SoC as basically all the other Anbernic Linux handhelds that Anbernic released in the last year. This being the RG35XXH, the RG40XX, I hate this naming scheme so much, the RG35XXSP, 35XX Plus 2024 edition. Put me out of my misery, please. It can play everything from most, well, not most, some PSP and some Dreamcast included. And this might sound awesome, this might sound like a no-brainer, but I challenge you to play PSP on this tiny screen and pretend that you enjoy it without a thumbstick, with these my new school bacteria level buttons and with these shoulder buttons, because it's gonna be hard. It's not gonna be impossible, it's just gonna be hard. But yeah, when it comes to performance, you simply have way more performance headroom here than here. The Miyoo A30 basically does things like PlayStation 1, Super Nintendo, as long as you remove the filter, and everything below, whereas this can do all of those, maybe at even enhanced resolution, it can not sweat as much, and because the H700 in this one is a newer SoC than what the Miyoo A30 has with its all-winner A33, the H700 is actually built on a smaller node, which means that it sips battery more elegantly. This one slurps battery as if it's fine wine. It enjoys it, it tastes it, you know, it's delicate to it. Whereas the Miyoo A30 eats battery as if it's at Oktoberfest in Germany and has two big 1.5 liter beer mugs in front of it. And for all my American nerds who don't know about Oktoberfest, that's basically a German tradition where everybody drinks a lot of beer and has fun and drinks a lot of beer and drinks more beer and then eats a lot of Wurst, and that's about it, and everybody has fun. Since I talked about the battery a bit, I might as well highlight something important here. As you may have presumed by now, the RG28XX, this little guy has a way better battery than this little guy. The Miyoo A30 lasts between 3 and 5 hours, I would say, while the RG28XX lasts way more than you would humanly want to play. I would say it has no problem reaching 5 hours or even 8 hours. And for me, 8 hours is Android tablet level battery life. You just have more battery than you can ever use in one single session. Because Anbernic flooded us with a lot of handhelds with the same SoC, this also brings an advantage, because when you have a million handhelds with the same SoC, then custom firmware communities can actually optimize their custom firmware very easily for new devices. And this handheld actually has a lot, and I mean a lot, of custom firmware options now. You can install Miyoo OS on this thing, which is one of my favorite custom firmwares. You can install Nuli if you want a good user interface and fancy animations, and my favorite thing, which is video screensavers, where you can see a video preview of any game before you actually play it. Or if any of these don't strike your fancy, you have other options as well. Whereas with the Miyoo A30, unfortunately, because the SoC is different than what we have on the Miyoo Mini and Miyoo Mini Plus, we currently don't have Onion OS on this, and I don't even think that it's gonna eventually come to Miyoo A30. There was a point where I thought it would come because the developers of Onion OS said something like that on Reddit, but I haven't heard of anything on that thread for a long time, so take this as you will. We have, however, other custom firmwares for the Miyoo A30 as well. We have Spruce, which is awesome, but even though Spruce is what should be your go-to to this handheld, seriously, don't even keep the stock firmware. The second you take it out of the box, just flash Spruce on it. I wouldn't even call Spruce a custom firmware because it's actually a modification of the stock firmware. A very good modification, but a modification nonetheless. In fact, I would say that a good match in terms of custom firmware for this golden mother flipper is Miyoo. I would either recommend Spruce or Miyoo for you if you buy the A30, and you can't go wrong with either. I'm currently enjoying both on the black Miyoo A30, which is this one, so I can't say that you're devoid of custom firmware options on the Miyoo A30 either. It's just that... wait, not this one. It's just that the RG28XX has way more custom firmware options that are quite a bit more mature, I would say. So yeah, just to neatly wrap this up, this is an aesthetics and an overall hand feel versus spec sheet and performance dilemma. What is more important to you? My nerd side wants to tilt towards performance and spec sheet because, duh, I'm that kind of a nerd, I want more power for less price. My stupid human side that concentrates on how I feel when I play something, and that human side in me measures things like overall enjoyment, overall immersiveness, overall happiness in that level. That stupid emotional human side in me loves the Miyoo A30 because the buttons make most of the difference for me. I don't care about the faceplate being metal. A lot of YouTubers praised the Miyoo A30 for having a metal faceplate. I give zero poops about that. I, however, care about the fact that the buttons are immensely generous. The shoulder buttons and triggers, they seem simply natural to me. They feel natural in the hand. I wouldn't expect them to be any other way than what Miyoo has given us here. And because I've been exposed to the Miyoo A30, I literally, in my head, I feel like I'm torturing myself, like I'm being low-key punished when I have to go back to these mother-flipping shoulder and trigger buttons, which are so incredibly small and, I would say, more than half of the dimensions of what we have here. Each time I play on the RG28XX, I feel annoyed by the buttons, and granted, I feel annoyed that on the Miyoo A30 the battery is not as long as this guy, and I would wish that these two made sweet love and they would combine and, blend together and mix their handheld genes into a combination of the two. That would, in my opinion, be the perfect 2.8-inch handheld. But unfortunately, we don't have that. Reality is one hell of a mother flipper. Me, along with most of you, are probably superficial, and just as I know if Jason Mamoa would come in my tiny office here and start talking about Mario, people would watch him more than this balding nerd with his weird flipping beard. And we love pretty things, we love aesthetics. And when it comes to aesthetics, there's no contest here. Aesthetics is won by the Miyoo A30, and performance is won by the RG28XX. But if I were to choose between them, remember that stupid, romanticized emotional side that focuses on overall enjoyment and not on important things like performance and spec sheet? well, that part wins, because if I play the same game on any of them, for example, I have Wario Land 4 on both of these, there is no contest. I will always, always, even at a subconscious or even at a conscious level, on all flipping levels, I would choose the Miyoo A30. It's that simple. It's weaker, it's dumber. If this were my son, I would send it to a very dumb college, something where even a flipping rodent would pass and get a diploma, because I would know that, well, the RG28XX almost fell. I would know that this couldn't handle anything more complicated, and I would try to love it, you know. I would at least think, you know, at least I have a beautiful offspring. Look at the buttons. When a girl touches the shoulder and trigger buttons, the girl would be like, oh my god, those are some very nice buttons. And I would know that the RG28XX would be smart enough to, you know, go its own way in life and become successful, because it's smart. I don't know where I'm going with this, but yeah, in terms of actual experience, this one is to get. In terms of performance, this one is to get. But again, I would argue that on 2.8 inches, you don't need more performance than 8 16-bit consoles and PlayStation 1. But you know what's more beautiful than the Miyoo A30 and the RG28XX? Is you subscribing, my dear nerd. Look, I need you to subscribe. Real talk right now. No bull poop, no me doing any fantastical comparisons. Look, I want us to be a tight-knit community. I think we're like-minded, you and I think we are both nerdy. I think these conversations are beneficial to us both. God knows this is the only therapy I have. It makes me feel like I talk with a friend about a hobby that we both love. So if you love your conversations with me, if you like being here with me, do me this favor and subscribe. I want us to grow this channel together. This is not a stupid speech, this is not a ploy. I hate when YouTubers ask to subscribe, but unfortunately, this is what one has to do. And we would both be along for the ride, because I'm just a guy in a flipping closet. This is actually a closet. This is the entire length of it. And both of us would discover this journey together, because this whole thing is new to me as well. And, you know, maybe this is a bad pitch, but if you want to support me more directly, you can also become either a channel member or a Patreon. And if you choose either of them, it doesn't matter which one, you will be featured on my wall of fame. I was actually shocked how well received I guess I was in the retro handheld community, because quite a few YouTubers decided to back me up. We have TechDweeb, we have Ross, we have Joey from Joey's Retro Handhelds, and not to become too emotional on you fine nerds, but it actually meant a lot to me. It means a lot when I see anyone on this planet like jumping in the ring and basically telling me, you know, Vlad, I like what you do and I have your back. And this motivates the living poop out of me. I said this in my last video, but it didn't stop being any less true. I don't want to end this video on a squishy, emotional side, but my dear nerds, I love talking with you, so, you know, this is me opening up a bit. I can do a that's what she said joke to disperse this fog of seriousness. I actually didn't want this video to be too long, but I guess sometimes something being long is not a bad thing, and I'm too mature to make that joke, you know, it's low-hanging fruit. I'm not gonna say that's what she said. So yeah, my dear nerds, in this world of blissful existence, we are just merely specks of dust. We pop in and out of existence in a blink of an eye. The universe just moves on further. We live, we die, we live, we die, we live, we die. We play handhelds, we eat, we poop, and then the universe goes into heat death and everything stops mattering. If you got that joke, matter stops mattering. Point is, we should enjoy the moment and we should enjoy each other's company. I am here for you, and I hope you are here for me as well. So, my sweet, beautiful nerd, I'll see you in the next video. I hope you enjoyed this one. I'm gonna leave links to the Miyoo A30 in the video description. If you want to encourage more stores to send me new stuff, And if you want to buy the Miyoo A30, get it from GoGameGeek, I would appreciate it. And if you want to get the RG28XX, they also have this one in their portfolio, so yeah, go nuts with either of them. So, we'll see each other in the next video, my dear nerd. I will try to post more often. I hate doing breaks for 5 days, 6 days. I'll try to keep a 2-day schedule at least, because I simply enjoy doing this, and I want to be in your face a bit more. See you next time, my dear nerd. Bye.